Welcome back, guys. In this video, we are going to talk about JSX, how to use it, and some of the basics about creating components. So, what is JSX? It stands for JavaScript XML. It's an extension of the JavaScript language syntax that allows you to write HTML-like code in your JavaScript, allowing you to describe your UI. It also allows you to embed JavaScript expressions in your UI descriptions. JSX is used by React to describe the UI. Let's write some code to demonstrate this. All right, so first let's go ahead and bring up the terminal. You can do that by either going here, terminal, new terminal, or by pressing Control backtick on your Mac. All right, let's go ahead and bring up React. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and create an element using JSX. Perfect. So right here, this is me using JSX inside of a JavaScript file, returning it, and it gets output or rendered into your browser. If you inspect it, it'll eventually be resolved into this h1 tag. You can even grab this right here, and you'll achieve the same exact result. Now myself, I like to wrap everything inside of parentheses. Like that. Now another thing I want to talk about is curly braces. You can pretty much put in here any type of valid JavaScript expression and it'll be rendered on the screen. So for example, 1 + 1, save, 2, 1 + 2. You can even grab your element here and put that in there and it'll get rendered. You can even make a function put that in there and it'll work. So yeah, JSX gives you a lot of flexibility. JSX has some rules about self-closing tags. So for example, you might be familiar with the input tag, the HR tag, or the BR tag. Let's go ahead and return one of these. Let's try input. Let's not make it closed. And JSX is already complaining. So in order to fix this, all we need to do is go over here and close it. And now it works. So always remember to close your self-closing tags. Another thing about JSX is you must return a single root element. For example, this works. There's a single root element, but now watch this. This throws an error. As you can see, it tells you right here. So in order to fix this, we must have only a single root element. So we can fix this by wrapping these elements inside of a div. And that fixes it. The only drawback of using this approach is you'll end up with a bunch of unnecessary divs all over the place. So for example, here you have your unnecessary div, and here you have your other elements. One alternative to this is you can use something called a React fragment, like this. Get rid of that, and then get rid of this. And it resolves your issue and gets rid of the other extra div. Another thing to keep in mind is the use of JavaScript reserved words inside of your JSX. So for example, you might be familiar with class, for. These are JavaScript reserved words. So let's see an example. Here I'm using some JSX to describe a p tag. Now usually you would give this element a class like this. But since class is a JavaScript reserved word, you have to use the camel case version like this. And if you notice, it'll interpret correctly and it'll display class. Another element that you might be familiar with is the label element. And this usually has a for attribute like this. Since for is a JavaScript reserved word, you must use the HTML4 equivalent. And it interprets it correctly. There are a bunch more, but these are just a few, just some things to keep in mind when you're writing your JSX. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and create our first component. So in React, components are really just regular JavaScript functions whose names must begin with a capital letter. So let's go ahead and create our first component. Call this one panel. Take some props. Don't worry about props. We'll discuss what props are in another video. Create our root element. Give this a header. Give this a content div. And then we're going to give it a footer. Oops. Perfect. Now we're going to use our component. Oops. And we're going to pass our props. So the first one is title. The second one is content. And the last one is footer. Perfect. Let's just go ahead and inspect this. And it renders correctly. Everything is in the right place. Now, one thing I mentioned is that the name must start with a capital letter. Let's see what happens if it doesn't. And now it doesn't work. Go ahead and change that. And boom, it works. Alright guys, that's it for now. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons if you guys like this video. And I will see you guys later. Ciao.